Adrian Peterson deactivating. Deactivated. Essentially, that's what happened. There was an exempt player. They said on the news that it was an exemption. That's what it said on the NFL Network and ESPN. Essentially, what it means is that Mr. Peterson cannot play football for the Minnesota Vikings or any other professional team until his legal problems are solved. Mr. Peterson is 29 years old, and traditionally that's the tail end of a running back's career. So essentially, Mr. Peterson may never play football again. Now, let's just talk about some of the issues, because there's no way that I can cover them, because this is a big story. This is a big story. This is not just a football story. This is a story relating to American life. African Americans, as had been my experience in my almost 54 years of life, are very much into hitting their kids and beating their kids. I know this from my own experience, because whenever I told people that I didn't hit my kids, they would disagree. And normally African Americans, and I'd say that it's barbaric to hit your kids, African Americans would say stories about how their parents hit them and how much it helped them and how much better they were from it. And they were generally supportive of that. And they would tell stories, especially men, about how someone disciplined them and did a great deal for them. And I don't think Mr. Peterson was any different. I don't think Mr. Peterson was trying to hurt his child, or he thought he was doing anything wrong when this happened. And I don't know if he realizes that he did anything wrong even now, because I don't think he's talking, and he'd be smart not to talk. But from what I understand, he took a tree limb, which was called a switch. I'm from the South. I was born in Savannah. I graduated high school in Alabama. I lived in Texas. I've lived in Arkansas. I lived in southern states when I was in my formative years. And that's what they were called, a switch. And these things were talked about as they were sacred. Hitting your kid was a sacred act, and it was something you were supposed to do. And I recall my mother quoting scriptures about the blueness of the wound would help you. So he was not just doing this out of some kind of misplaced thing or some deviant, aberrant behavior. He was behaving as if he was raised to behave. Now, I did see one of the comments on the NFL Network, that somebody was brought in that was a sexual abuse counselor to the NFL office to mediate this issue. Sexual abuse. There was a sexual abuse counselor that was made in one of the stories. I'm not even going to touch the implications, because I think a lot of you already understand the implications that I'm making. This man is being railroaded. Now, do I agree with hitting a 4-year-old boy? No, I do not. I do not agree with hitting a 4-year-old child at all. I do not agree with hitting a 4-year-old boy, a 4-year-old girl, what have you. I don't agree with that. Any 4-year-old, I don't agree with that. I don't see the point in it. I think it's barbaric. I think this child may have been traumatized by this, just as Mr. Peterson was traumatized by his father when he was growing up. I read a story on in the New York Times that his father beat him in front of 20 other kids. There were 20 witnesses in his hometown, and he was beaten in front of 20 kids. He was embarrassed and beaten in front of 20 other kids by his father, who was later convicted of a cocaine trafficking charge. So this is who mentored this young man, Mr. Peterson. So he has got himself in the middle of the mess. I'm sure that players, both African American, both European American, Hispanic, what have you, and all the leagues have beaten their children like this. I don't think this is unique. But suddenly, the rules have changed. I don't know if this means that the black man is suddenly under assault. I don't know if this means men are under assault. It certainly means that the owners of the Minnesota Vikings, with all their prestige and money, don't run their team. They don't. Because they had decided they needed him to play, and yet the league said they couldn't. So these owners, it's all a lot of BS. We don't really know what's going on behind the scenes, and this proves it. Because the Minnesota Vikings, they need him. Mr. Peterson is going to be paid $100,000 a day while he's playing, and while he's gone, And he's going to get through this. But the team could lose millions of dollars. This could really hurt the team. So they're the ones that are the most hurt by this. They're not guilty of anything. Mr. Peterson beat his child. He failed to evolve. You don't beat 4-year-old childs, Mr. Peterson. You don't do that. You should have known better, okay? But are you supposed to get your career ruined? Is this worthy of the punishment? No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that at all. So I just think that this is a big story, and it has a lot of implications. I have no idea what it means. I would appreciate comments. I would appreciate some video responses. If I don't get anything, then I may withdraw from media. This is just getting ridiculous because this story is red hot. Peace.